Hey everybody, are you looking for a place to visit to boost your holiday spirit? Then load up the car and stop by GTB Medical to experience their free winter wonderland. There are many unique items to view and they will be on display the entire month of December. GTB Medical is located at 366 Pearl Road in Brunswick and is open Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. So don't miss out. Come to GTB Medical the entire month of December for some true holiday cheer.
Hi, welcome to Golden Years. I'm Lori Betts and Merry Christmas. This month I am interviewing the Bollingers from Bollinger Funeral Services. So come on back and they're going to share with us what is going on with them.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes, B, console her,
Don't worry, sweetie. This is gonna happen a lot.
or C, find her a new boyfriend?
Nice single boys. That was weird.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Hi, welcome back to Golden Years. I'm interviewing the Bollingers, Debbie and Mark, and they are from Bollinger Funeral Services. So we are going to learn a little bit about them and try to pick up some tips to make it a little bit easier on you and your loved ones when that time happens in your life. Thank you for joining me this month.
Thanks for having us.
And Mark, I want to know a little bit of your background. How did you get involved in the funeral world?
All right. Well, I'm a third generation funeral director and embalmer. My grandfather started a funeral home on the west side of Cleveland that my dad took over, and then I took over and ultimately sold it. Then I worked at a couple of other different funeral homes for a while, ran a cemetery for a little bit, and then we decided to open up our business in Brunswick. So that's what got us to where we are today.
Very good. And I just want to open my show stating, because in town we have Carlson's and we have Waite Funeral Homes. Mm-hmm. They have been more than more supportive to the community all these years. And I'm sure a lot of my viewers have gone to either one of them and they were very happy with their services. But unfortunately, times have changed, and you know, and we'll share about that, traditional funerals. I mean, they used to be what, 2 viewings, and then the church, the luncheon, then you go back to the family member's house and you do some drinking.
Right.
I got a big family, so there's a lot of history there. But my mom, my 95-year-old mother, she just lost 4 siblings just this past year. Wow. So 2016 has not been a good year. And her being the oldest, she had to attend all of them. But the last one, her sister, when her sister died, she said, we went to wake her up in the morning. She's like, I'm done. I said goodbye to Aunt Terry last night. I'm done. I can't do it anymore. I mean, you figure that's a lot of funerals, viewings.
Yeah.
But where I was going with this, all 4 were completely different. And that's okay now, because people do it their way. Mm-hmm. And there's not a right way and there's not a wrong way. And you could share that with me and my viewers, that some people just have the service. Some people just have like an hour before the mass or the service, and then they just have private burial. So share with them, what is the trend?
Yeah, like you said, 30 years ago when I got in the business, everybody had 2 days of visitation, and the funeral and the burial the next, and everything like that. Well, today things are totally changed. People don't have time for that. People can't get off work like they used to be able to get off work for funerals and things.
And I think people are more understanding. You know, back like decades ago, if Uncle Joe died or your good neighbor died, you had to drop everything and you had to go to that viewing. But I think in this generation's coming up, they understand.
Right. Or, as you also said, having a time of visitation just prior to the Mass or service at a church. And churches are more open to that these days too, so that's very helpful, especially in our kind of business.
And going back to the celebration of life, that is so important. I mean, because you want to remember them, especially if it's a family member, they have all these pictures and you just remember the good times, you know, and you just got to move on. For my sister's funeral, my 5 years ago, my brother-in-law decided the family was so big, he had just a family, like on Saturday night, which was wonderful. Yeah. And then she was part of the school system, so then you had all day Sunday that was nonstop and you didn't get to talk to anybody. So that worked out really well. But no two funerals, like I said, are the same. Right.
No, not at all, because everybody wants to customize it, and that's the way it should be, because no two individuals are the same. So your celebration, your life story, whatever, should be yours. So they should be different.
Definitely. And no one should be a critic of it.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah. Cremations, they're becoming very, very popular because of the price or because their wishes.
Well, I think that there are a couple of reasons for that. One, I think price is a big thing. But the other thing is the Catholic Church had changed their stance on cremation. And actually, they changed it many years ago, but it still wasn't very, very popular or even encouraged at all. But now that's much more open, so that's changed too. But yeah, cremation used to be like less than 10% again when I first got started, to now it's about 50% of the types of disposition now. So yeah, you have to, again, adjust, got to go and make changes, and you have to provide what the people are looking for. So.
And you could cookie cut anything.
Right, absolutely. And we encourage our families to do that. Tell us what you want. What do you want it to be? What do you want it to be about? What was your mother or your father? What were they like? What were their hobbies? Let us incorporate that so it's special to your family.
Very good idea. Because, like you said, you're celebrating their life.
Right.
You know, my employee keeps saying none of us is getting out of this world alive, so it's going to happen, you know, and we're just all players in God's plan, so we don't know how long we have on this earth. But to make a special tribute to the person that does pass on, whether it's a quickie, you know, I'm sure you get a lot of families, especially with what's going on in this world today as far as with drugs and everything. I'm sure you have to deal with the families that are just devastated. Right. You know, you figure an elderly person, that's, you know, just a time frame.
Right.
Right, you kind of expect that, but like you said, with the young people, the family's totally ill-prepared to deal with it.
And you need warm and fuzzy people to talk to that you could help them through them, you know, through the situation.
And definitely helping them through it, because those cases, it's completely unexpected. You don't plan for a funeral of, you know, a young person and things like that. So it takes a lot of getting through it, and there's a lot of emotions at that time, a lot of decisions that have to be made, and you really have to, you know, sit back, calm things down, and just try to work through it best to whatever the family wants.
Okay. All right, let's say mom says she wants to be cremated, okay? So the siblings are with you in your office, and Joe says no, she is not going to be burned, but it's mom's wishes. So what happens?
That is a big issue, because the legal next of kin in Ohio has what's called the right of disposition. So they can choose however mom's going to be disposed, if you will. And if they all don't agree on the cremation, we can't do it, because cremation obviously is irreversible. And so they have to all agree on it. And if not, it's come to the point where we've had some families that have had to go to court, and the court has decided what's going to happen to mom.
So where's mom hanging around this whole time?
Unfortunately, at the funeral home still.
Wow.
And then, yeah, you could run into, if it takes time, run into more charges, because you have to charge to actually hold the person for that kind of length of time. So it can get bad, but, you know, you hope that everyone can come together and agree on things. But, you know, it just doesn't always happen.
Oh, no.
Doesn't happen.
Children are children. But if she signed off on it, I mean, why should the state get involved?
It's just the laws in Ohio right now as far as what's called, like I said, the right of disposition. It doesn't matter even if they had a prepaid, pre-planned funeral, which, I mean, we encourage people to do, and 98% of the time, I mean, families are going to abide by those wishes, but they don't have to. So that's...
That being said about the pre-planned, what's the percentage? Do people pre-plan ahead or?
Figures that I've seen nationwide, about 30% maybe, which is pretty good. I mean, that's, you know, increased a lot, again, over the years.
Well, you hear a lot about it.
Right.
And I think today more families are more open with their loved ones, saying, what are your wishes? You know, what do you want done? My mother-in-law planned out her whole mass. She wants these songs, these flowers, this dress. I mean, so that'll be easy. You don't want, you have blinders on, and you know, if you've been in the business long enough, people just don't want to go down that road.
Yeah, well, with the pre-planning, very seldom, if ever, have I sat in a room with the survivors where they said, oh gosh, I wish mom wouldn't have pre-planned. You know, so much is like, God, I'm so glad that they took care of this ahead of time for us. And even down to, like you say, the songs that are going to be sung and who's going to be a pallbearer and, you know, types of verses that are going to be read and things like that. So it is very helpful for the survivors.
Oh yeah, because that's just not a happy time.
Yeah.
You have a store here in Brunswick.
We do.
Okay, so, and it features, I saw the coffins. So can anyone just walk in, or is it better to like make an appointment, or?
Okay.
They can do both. I mean, if they're coming in to look at merchandise or just talk to us or learn more about us, we encourage people to walk in, stop in and visit us anytime. We're happy to talk with anybody, tell them what we're all about. A lot of people actually think that we are just a casket store. They don't realize that we're a fully licensed funeral home and we can handle services as well as sell them the merchandise. Like I said, if they're interested in just merchandise, they can just stop in. If they want to sit down and talk about actually doing their pre-arrangements, as we were discussing a minute ago, we do encourage them to call ahead to make an appointment so that we're sure that Mark is there. We do have another location in Elyria. He's sometimes out there, so we want to make sure that he can be here to meet with the families when they want to come in to talk about their own plans.
Okay, so then in your case, just having the store, do you plan it, like let's say they come to you to do the pre-planning, okay, but then a church gets involved, you know, for the service or mass or whatever. Do you step in and do that, or does a family member have to do all the calling and rearranging, or?
We try to take care of as much as possible. A lot of churches want to then meet with the family to go over exactly what's going to happen in the service itself. But as far as the actual planning of when it's going to be and where and those types of things, we'll make the calls, of course, to the churches, the cemeteries, you know, anything that needs to be done.
Okay.
And you were asking about, you know, times. We're typically open 9 to 5, regular hours like Monday through Saturday, I guess. And then all other times we can be by appointment. If people have to come in the evening or something, you know, we do that, of course, all the time too. So.
Okay, so people do get stressed. I saw in your brochure that it's 24 hours. Are we waking you up in the middle of the night?
Sometimes. We do have an answering service that we use on occasion. We prefer the personal hands-on approach. So when we're not there, we transfer the phones to our cell phones and can pretty much be reached 24/7.
God bless you. I mean, because I know that is a stressful time, but you need your sleep too.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to learn what else you want to share with our viewers.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
Hey everybody, are you looking for a place to visit to boost your holiday spirit? Then load up the car and stop by GTB Medical to experience their free winter wonderland. There are many unique items to view and they will be on display the entire month of December. GTB Medical is located at 366 Pearl Road in Brunswick. and is open Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. So don't miss out. Come to GTB Medical the entire month of December for some true holiday cheer.
Welcome back to Golden Years. I am interviewing Debbie and Mark Bollinger from Bollinger Funeral Services, and we were talking about pre-needs. Now, Mark, a lot of my customers, viewers, are always concerned about their dollars and getting scammed, because that's a big thing, because every senior is scammed one way or another. God love them. So how is she protected when she does her pre-needs, her pre-planning?
Well, in Ohio, there's the law with pre-planned or pre-need funerals, prepaid funerals, is that the funeral home cannot hold on to that money. It has to go into a third party where it's protected. So that could be a trust fund through the state, it could be through insurance policies, somewhere else where the funeral home doesn't hold on to it. That way, the consumer's money is protected. If the funeral home is out of business, or even if that person ends up moving and going out of state or to live with somebody else and they have funeral elsewhere, that way that money can be transferred to where it's needed.
Oh, that's a good point, because a lot of seniors are going away with their kids.
Right.
And we get that with our business operation, with it being a storefront funeral home, a little bit different, so people are a little bit more skeptical, but guarantee their money is definitely protected.
Okay. So like when they pre-planned, what about when the funerals, because I always wondered about this, when prices go up, then does that increase?
Generally speaking, there are two parts to a funeral contract. The one part, which is called the guaranteed part, which usually includes all the services from the funeral director and the staff, and the merchandise, caskets, vaults, urns, whatever. Those type of items are usually always guaranteed. So you pay for them at today's prices, they don't go up. The second part of the contract is what's called the cash advance items. These are items that are outside of the control of the funeral home, something that we might pay or advance the money for a family, like your obituaries or certified copies of the death certificates, maybe cemetery costs, maybe honorariums for the church, things like that, money that's not going to us but through us. Those items aren't necessarily guaranteed because we don't control them. So let's say a family had put in $800 towards those items. When the death occurs, maybe they cost $1,000. The family would owe the $200 difference on those items only.
Okay, all right. That being said, okay, so when we were talking about the overdose and the unexpected funerals, when that happens, I mean, and people don't have that cash, and I know it's a plastic world, I mean, you can accept plastic, or how do you do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Cash, credit cards, checks. We even do life insurance assignments for those people that have life insurance. And what that means is the beneficiary can assign the amount of the funeral to the funeral home directly. So the life insurance company then, if it's a $10,000 policy and the funeral costs $6,000, $6,000 goes to the funeral home, $4,000 goes to the beneficiary.
That's a good point. I never knew that could be done.
Yeah.
That's good. That's something off of their mind that they don't have to worry about it then.
Right.
Right.
Okay. So do you get, now that you said about the storefront and people walking in and they don't know if you're going to be there tomorrow, you got to really sell them and say, okay, we are going to plan this whole thing out for you. All you have to do is show up at this church on this day at this time. Or like you said earlier, then you might make the call to the church, but then she'll have to go up and talk to the priest and work with them.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I would say we coordinate all the services. They tell us what they want, where, what church they want to use. We call the church, set up the times, get everything in place for them, and then they just have to handle the minutia, like what verses they want done during the service, what hymns they want sung. We'll get everything put in place, and they just finalize the little details that personalizes it for them.
Oh, that's good. Very good.
And we can, we've referred to our business as a storefront funeral home, which is kind of different from the traditional funeral homes that I'm sure your viewers are used to working with. And I want to, if it's okay, to tell you a little bit about that.
Go right ahead.
Okay. We had met some people in Columbus probably 5 years ago who were the first in the state of Ohio to have a storefront funeral home. And this came about because the laws in Ohio changed as to what they defined as a funeral home. And so you could have one where you don't have, visitation, you don't have an embalming room, a preparation room, things of that nature in that facility, and still be licensed as a funeral home. And the best part about this is that they were able to offer their services at a much lower cost than a lot of other funeral homes. So we saw that, we met them, and we were like, wow, or at least I was like, wow, that's what I think we ought to do, just to make other options available to people, because things happen, unexpectedly. Things happen where people just don't have the money or don't want to spend, the higher cost that some funerals cost. So that's what sparked us into opening ours. We were the third one in the state of Ohio.
Wow.
And now, I guess there are 5 from what I understand. The first 2 that were ahead of us have opened up second locations. So,
very good.
Because
it is a need.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's basically what we're there for, is a niche, is to help out the people that don't have the funds to pay a big exorbitant funeral. So.
And like you said, you have Bollinger Funeral Home in Lorraine, so you saw the other side of it too. So you do the full funeral home service, and then you do the lower end.
Right.
Because not everybody's got money. Not everybody plans ahead.
Right.
Exactly. So yeah, we try to give people an option, lower cost options. So.
And being the storefront too, I mean, people can just walk by you on a day that nothing happened in their life.
Yeah.
They just might want to walk in, browse in, and just say, you know what, I like this casket. You know what, let's start pre-planning.
We have people that come in, they, like you say, walk by and see us there, and they'll stop in and say, I didn't even know you were here. I just saw you, so I thought I'd come in and see what you were all about. So we'll spend some time with them, explain why we're there, what we do, how we serve, the families in the area.
That's good, good. Well, I'm glad you're in the area, because
So-
there's a lot of people with needs that have to be filled.
Right.
And we've lived here for 20 years now in Brunswick, so that's why we decided to open in Brunswick. And we're just starting our 5th year in business now, and it's been well received.
5 years,
So,
wow, that just goes so fast.
Yeah.
Well, good for you guys. And thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Do you want to leave any words of advice to my viewers?
Whenever possible, find out everything ahead of time, because when you're dealing with stuff when death occurs, your mind's not in the right place. You're thinking different things. You're led more with emotion. If at all possible, find out stuff ahead of time. Call around, talk to different places, different funeral homes. Because everybody offers different things. So just try to be prepared as much as possible.
Yeah, don't wait for the last minute. And
Yeah.
just like you said, your mind's not there 100%, and it's emotional.
Right.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining me this month.
Thank you for having us.
And thanks for sharing all these tips with my viewers to plan ahead at a happy moment so everything will go smoothly. And it's nice to know there's people out there that can help you through this, the experts, because you see it every day in different scenarios. So we'll see you next month. We'll see you next year.
It's me, Santa Santa Claus coming to you live from the North Pole. I'd like to remind you to leave out that milk and those cookies and to keep watching Brunswick area television. And I'll come to see you real soon.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Hey everybody, are you looking for a place to visit to boost your holiday spirit? Then load up the car and stop by GTB Medical to experience their free winter wonderland. There are many unique items to view and they will be on display the entire month of December. GTB Medical is located at 366 Pearl Road in Brunswick and is open Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. So don't miss out. Come to GTB Medical the entire month of December for some true holiday cheer.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.